what level of understanding do you think there is today amongst designers about the circular economy, about the actions that they are going to need to take if we're going to significantly change the way we do things?
Well, first of all, I think that if you take the design community to include architects and designers and people who engaged in building everything from mobile phones to cities and infrastructure, I think the design community is super passionate and super concerned about doing the right thing, especially the younger generation. When you visit design schools or you see graduation shows, I mean, environmental issues are probably the most important topic that they're trying to address. Of course, they're doing it in small studios of 1 person, 2 person, people, and 3 people. The question of how aware are they of what the circular economy is, I think, is a more complex one, because I think, as a journalist, we've come up against this all the time. It's very difficult to explain these things to people, and it's very hard for them to go somewhere to get solid information that they can actually make use of. The circular economy, we were talking about this just now. What's the difference between the circular economy and a closed loop? Well, in terms of form, they're both this, right? But are they the same thing? Some research papers treat them indiscriminately and interchangeably. Some define them as different things. The same with things like, what is a bioplastic? If it's a bioplastic, does it mean it's biodegradable? So designers are confused. They want to use the right materials. They want to push things forward. But I would say there is a kind of information gap between that's preventing them from making effective decisions. Now, we're part of the solution to that, but we're confused too quite a lot of the time.
Well, it's interesting. You're saying actually something very similar to what Wolfgang from Condé Nast was talking about this morning, which is the role of media in actually defining the terms and actually creating some agreement and shared understanding so that we know what we're working on. Do you see that as something that Dezeen and other media organizations could be doing, should be doing?
Yes, precisely. So we want our ambition as a design magazine at Dezeen is to set the global agenda. So we take feedback from our readers, we see what's going on, and we identify themes. The environment, circular economy, climate change, that big topic is the single most important thing that we face as a civilization, but the single most important thing to designers. So therefore, we're trying to push forward the agenda. But it's hard, because it's very easy to make lazy assumptions that a bioplastic is biodegradable, that the ocean cleanup is going to solve the problems of ocean plastic. I learned yesterday that ocean plastic is a registered trademark. So the whole area is a bit of a minefield. That doesn't mean we're pessimistic, but we do have a duty to inform, to explain, and often to bust the bullshit, to be honest, that comes with quite easy solutions that turn out not to be true.
It also means that creative people, designers, architects, also have to be technically aware, right? They have to understand, we have to understand how, what these materials do, how these processes work in order to successfully innovate with them. And at some level, that's always been the case with design, and you can go back to the first industrial revolution, that designers experimented with the use of plastics or experimented with the use of other manufacturing processes quite early on. But it does seem that connection between creativity and technology is still important when it comes to the circular economy.
Yeah, exactly. And the science is complicated, but also science isn't a static thing. Science moves forward. So on the one hand, with ocean plastic or plastic pollution in general, everyone is aware that there's a problem, but we don't know quite how big the problem is. Like, okay, so microplastics are getting inside of fish. There's no definitive scientific answer to whether that's a problem or not yet. And in the meantime, there's a kind of huge public expectation that we need to get rid of plastic in the ocean. So people think that by not having a plastic straw in their Starbucks, they're somehow contributing to that. So again, it's like it's an easy solution that while the problem is over here getting bigger, the solution that people focus on, and often the media in their understandable desire to simplify things, point people in the wrong direction.
But we clearly need to learn through experimentation.
Yes, exactly. So we do have to go through this cycle of, there's the science, is it correct? Has someone got a counterpoint to that? So you're constantly pushing forward our understanding.